Part 1. The Quiet Beginning. Chapter 1. Coffee and Familiar Silence. The cafe on the corner had always been theirs. It wasn't fancy, just mismatched chairs, exposed brick walls, and the smell of espresso that lingered in the air like a familiar song. To Evelyn, it felt less like a coffee shop and more like an extension of her own living room. And to Ethan, it was the kind of place where words came easier, where silences didn't demand to be filled. They sat across from each other in their usual spot, a wobbly table near the window. Outside, September rain streaked the glass, turning the street into a blur of umbrellas and headlights. Inside, the low hum of conversation made a backdrop to their own quiet. Evelyn stirred her coffee absent-mindedly, the spoon clinking against ceramic. Ethan watched, smirking slightly. "You always do that," he said. "Do what?" She looked up, her dark hair falling across her cheek. "Spin your spoon like you're casting a spell. It's not tea, you can't make it stronger by stirring it forever." She rolled her eyes, but a smile tugged at her lips. "Maybe I like the ritual. Or maybe," Ethan said, leaning back in his chair, "you like keeping your hands busy when you're avoiding saying something." Her smile faltered, just slightly. Ethan noticed, but he didn't press. He never pressed. That was part of why they worked. 10 years of friendship had taught them where the boundaries were, even if lately those boundaries had started to feel like walls. Evelyn tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "You sound like my therapist." "You don't have a therapist." "Exactly. So don't audition for the role." They laughed, but the laughter lingered only for a moment. Then came the comfortable silence, the kind that belonged only to people who had shared half their lives. Evelyn gazed out the window, tracing the lines of the rain. Ethan's eyes stayed on her just a second too long. If she noticed, she didn't let on. Later, as they walked home under the same umbrella, Evelyn nudged him with her shoulder. "You never did tell me how work's been." He shrugged. "The same. Too many hours, not enough sleep. Thinking about quitting, honestly." "Quitting?" She glanced at him, eyebrows raised. "You love that job." "I loved the idea of it." His voice was quiet, almost lost under the rain. "Doesn't mean it's what I want anymore." Evelyn studied him, the way his jaw tightened when he said it. There were things he wasn't saying, things he rarely said. Ethan had always been the steady one, the dependable one. To hear him sound restless unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. "You'll figure it out," she said softly. "Maybe." His eyes flicked to hers. "If I don't screw it up first." Something passed between them in that moment, sharp and fleeting, a possibility unspoken. Evelyn looked away before it could settle. That night, after she got home, Evelyn lay awake longer than she should have. The sound of rain still echoed in her ears. She thought of Ethan's words, the way he'd looked at her like there was something more he wanted to say. She pressed a hand to her chest, as if she could steady her heart. "Don't go there," she whispered to herself. But of course, she already had. Chapter 2. The other side of routine. Saturday mornings had their own rhythm. Evelyn's alarm never rang. The sunlight through her curtains was enough to wake her. She'd make coffee, pull her hair into a messy bun, and curl up with a book she probably wouldn't finish. And without fail, by late morning, her phone would buzz. "Ethan, you're not still in bed, are you?" "Evelyn, maybe." "Ethan, unacceptable. I'm outside. Get dressed." She smiled at the scream, shaking her head. Only Ethan had the audacity to show up without warning and expect her to follow along. And only she would let him. When she stepped outside 10 minutes later, he was leaning against his car, sunglasses perched on his head despite the lack of sun. "You look like you just rolled out of bed," he said, grinning. "That's because I did," she shot back. "Some of us work late on Fridays." He held up a paper bag. "Bribery. Croissants." Her mock annoyance softened. That was Ethan, equal parts exasperating and thoughtful. They drove with the windows down, the late summer air carrying faint warmth. Ethan didn't say where they were going, but Evelyn didn't ask. She trusted him enough to know it would be somewhere that mattered. They ended up by the lake, the one they'd been sneaking off to since they were 16. The water shimmered under the pale sky, the dock stretching out like an old memory. Evelyn sat at the edge, pulling her knees up. "You always bring me here when you're avoiding something," she teased. Ethan dropped down beside her, handing her a croissant. "And you always call me out on it." "So?" She raised an eyebrow. "What are you avoiding now?" He took a bite, chewing slowly, as if the answer might be hidden in the layers of pastry. "I got a call yesterday from an old colleague, and they want me to interview for a position in Chicago. Big promotion, better pay." Her heart sank, though she kept her face neutral. "That sounds great. It's not that simple." His eyes fixed on the water. "It would mean leaving soon." The word hung heavy between them. "Leaving?" Evelyn's chest tightened. "You should do it," she said finally, her voice steady despite the ache in her throat. "You really think so?" "Of course. It's a good opportunity." But inside, her thoughts were anything but certain. She wanted to say, "I don't want you to go." She wanted to grab his arm and hold him there on the dock forever. Instead, she tore a piece of croissant and tossed it to the ducks, forcing a smile. "You'd love Chicago," she added. Ethan studied her profile, as if searching for the truth beneath her words. But she didn't look back. That evening, Evelyn met up with her coworker, Ryan. He was funny, charming in the easy way people are when they're not weighed down by unspoken things. He made her laugh over margaritas, and for a moment, she let herself relax. Halfway through the night, her phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. "Ethan, still thinking about what you said. You really think I should go?" Evelyn stared at the screen, her smile fading. Ryan was still talking, but she didn't hear him. She typed quickly. "Evelyn, yes? You should." Her fingers hovered before she hit send. And when she did, she felt the weight of a door closing, one she wasn't sure she wanted shut. Chapter 3. Lines in the air. Sunday mornings usually belong to Ethan and Evelyn. Bagels, newspapers, and the kind of quiet that felt like home. But this Sunday, Evelyn was already at a cafe across town with Ryan. He was telling a story about a disastrous college road trip, miming the car breaking down and his friends panicking. Evelyn laughed, maybe louder than she felt, stirring her cappuccino the way she always did. Ryan leaned in closer, comfortable, charming. And yet something about it felt off. Not wrong exactly, but unfamiliar. His laughter didn't echo in her bones the way Ethan's did. His smile didn't carry the weight of a decade of inside jokes. When her phone buzzed, she knew who it would be before she even looked. "Ethan, bagels? Or did you ditch me today?" Her stomach tightened. She typed back quickly, "Evelyn, out already. Rain check." There was a pause. Then Ethan, "Sure." Just that. 2 words. She stared at them too long, trying to hear his voice in them. Later that afternoon, guilt nudged her to swing by Ethan's apartment. She knocked lightly, and when he opened the door, the familiar smell of coffee and laundry detergent wrapped around her like a memory. "Rain check?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "I owed you," she said, stepping inside. "Besides, Ryan doesn't know how to pick bagels properly." The name slipped out before she could stop it. Ethan's expression shifted, subtle, but enough. "Ryan, a guy from work. We grabbed brunch." She forced her tone casual, breezy. "Right." He turned toward the kitchen, his shoulders a little stiffer. "So now I've got competition for Sunday mornings." "Don't be ridiculous," she said quickly. But the joke had landed too heavily, and neither of them laughed. They sat on the couch, a movie playing unwatched on the screen. Ethan leaned back, arms crossed, eyes distant. Evelyn felt the silence pressing in. Finally, she broke it. "About Chicago, have you thought more about it?" He glanced at her, something unreadable in his gaze. "I think I have to take it." Her chest clenched, but she nodded. That's good. You deserve it. You keep saying that. His voice was quiet, steady, but edged with something sharper. Like you're trying to convince yourself as much as me. Her lips parted, but no words came. She wanted to say, I don't want you to go. She wanted to scream it, but fear caught the words in her throat. Instead, she whispered, I just want you to be happy. For a long moment, Ethan didn't look away. His eyes searched hers, deep and steady, as if waiting for something, some truth she wouldn't give. Finally, he turned back to the screen. The movie played on, but neither of them was really watching. That night, when Evelyn lay in bed, her phone lit up with another message. Ryan had a great time today. We should do it again. She stared at the words, her heart pulled into directions, one toward the new, one tethered to the old. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard, but she didn't reply. Not yet, because in the quiet of her apartment, with the memory of Ethan's gaze still lingering, she wasn't sure what she wanted at all.